I own a small deli in New York City. It's on a street corner in a quiet neighborhood, which is hard to come by in a city. My parents bought it when I was in college. It actually became pretty popular. When they passed away 5 years ago, the business was put in my hands. I moved from my tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn to the apartment above the deli. Business kind of slowly fell apart after the first year. I wasn't nearly as sociable as my parents were, and I majored in psychology in college, so I didn't really have any idea what I was doing business-wise. After the first year, I closed down the shop for a week to really think about what I was going to do to move forward. Either I was going to sell the shop, or I needed a really good idea. I felt too guilty throwing away years of my parents' hard work. I knew if I was going to save the business and the family name, a new marketing strategy had to be big and bold. The next morning, I woke up and the epiphany seemingly appeared out of thin air. Exotic meats. Okay, so it wasn't an original idea. There were several places in the city that served exotic meats, but my idea was better. There wouldn't be any bells or whistles. My meat wasn't going to be dipped in truffle butter or topped with a leaf of a rare plant on the side of a volcano, only found on a tiny little island whose only inhabitant's sole job was to pluck these rare leaves every full moon. No one on earth had tried the meat I was going to serve. It took a lot of planning and I did hours of research on it, making sure no one would get sick. I didn't want a liability on my hands. Fast forward 6 months, the deli was 50 times as popular as it was when my parents ran it. I was beaming. I knew my parents would be proud. The clients were different. Not the sweet neighbors down the street my parents always served. No, my patrons were rich business tycoons, famous chefs and food connoisseurs. I had a single table that could only seat up to 4. Reservations had to be made a month in advance. And the product, you ask? Well, I told no one. No one knew exactly what they were eating. But it was the same thing for everyone. I never changed it up. That's what kept them coming. They paid $350 a plate. A plate of a single, thinly sliced piece of lightly smoked mystery meat, as everyone began to call it. They would take nibbles, slowly savoring the taste. I'd smile behind the counter and shake my head as they tried to guess. A month or 2 later, and the same people would come back. They would eat even slower this time, letting the small bite sit in their mouth for 10 to 15 minutes, but to no avail. No one could guess correctly. Now, 5 years later, people have to make reservations a year in advance. I own a penthouse down the street. Life is great. The cost has grown to $2,000 a plate. Royalty have flown just to try my mystery meat. I even have a framed picture of me and the president hanging in the deli. I only serve 5 guests a week nowadays, and soon, I think I might take a couple years off and splurge my money a bit. No one tells you how stressful it is to run a business, even if it is successful. Maybe I'll treat myself to some exotic, expensive food for once. My friends have been commenting on how skinny I've gotten.